Jesus is a friend of mine.
Jesus is my friend.
Jesus is a friend of
I
mine.
have a friend in Jesus.
Do you want to die, Sydney? Your mother sure didn't.
Fuck you, you creep. Please God.
Jesus wept.
Another shot if I shot him.
I got plans for you. I'm gonna slit your eyelids in half so you don't blink when I stab you in the face.
I don't know what death is.
I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Hey, this is Trevor with Blood, Guts, and B-Movie Trash Talk, and we watch movies so you don't have to. And I have my lovely co-host here, Steve Norman.
Well, East Coast girls are hip. I really dig those styles they wear. And the Southern girls with the way they talk. They knock me out when I'm down there. The Midwest farmers' daughters really make you feel alright. And the Northern girls with the way they kiss, they keep their boyfriends warm at night. I wish they all could be Mitch O'Donnell.
Well, hello, Trevor.
That was pretty funny. Song lyrics, Steve?
Beach Boys, baby.
Oh, man. We are back again reviewing those movies you don't have time for. And we have the lovely pleasure of watching and now reviewing Night of the Demons.
1988.
1988. And Steve, did you by chance get the fine gentleman's name of the name of the fellow that directed this great film?
Nope.
All right. Well, let me see what we can find here. Yes, it looks like it was directed by Kevin Tini. I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. For all you horror fans out there, he also had the pleasure of directing Witchboard, which is probably his second, or I'd say tie for his first famous film. It's actually decent. He also did
What's the other one?
Pinocchio's Revenge.
Oh, that's those two?
Class
The
A.
two-headed, those are the good ones?
Well, yeah, he's directed a few other ones, but I haven't seen the other ones, and I probably will never watch the other ones. But the screenwriter for this was Joe Augustine. So I believe they tag team this one. But
there's nothing I like better than dead animals.
Well, there's a lot of death in this movie, Steven, so I think you're definitely going to enjoy reviewing it. Night of the Demons. Now, the budget for this film was $1.2 million.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm reading my notes finally.
Oh, you
continue. I'll just after this. But
a little fun fact here with this movie. It actually, with that $1.2 million budget, it only grossed $3,109,000 in the U.S. But a nice little fun fact here is that it looks like it was only shown in Detroit. And I guess by the numbers it grossed in Detroit, it would have been projected to earn around $13 million domestically, which makes it a pretty damn big film for its time. Yeah, exactly. It's
Motor City liked the movie.
They did. I don't know if they liked it, but they went and watched it.
Before you get into any more, I'm looking at my notes because I thought I wrote down the director's name.
Yeah,
but instead I have written, and I guess the best way to say it would be I was watching the movie and I thought, Night of the Demon. This would make a great porn spin-off called, and this is what I have written at the top of my notes: Night of the Seaman. Right?
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Pretty cheap film that was made. It only grossed. It made money, so I mean they didn't lose out on that. And I'm sure over time, especially with the re-release by Scream Factory, it's definitely continuously making money.
Charging $20 a Blu-ray for this gem.
Yeah, and I mean I think we'll definitely get into this, but I want to know their process on re-releasing movies. Because they re-release some really great movies that I don't mind paying $20 for. Because not only do you get the movie, but you get the cool, like, Mondo-esque artwork. And you also get really cool, like, they make sure that they give you a lot of really cool things with the DVD.
It comes in a nice, cool little blue box.
It does, but they also give you like commentaries, special features, things like that. But I want to know how they choose these movies, because I feel a lot of them don't deserve to be resurrected.
I think that they're just movies that don't have a DVD run.
Yeah,
that's what I would assume.
That, or like they can get rights to some of the movies, and some of them they cannot. So their choices are kind of. Anyways, this is where I guess we'll definitely jump into the review here.
Why don't you, before we get into the review, why don't you sum it up based on what you would write, or may have already been written, on the back of the box?
It's Halloween night, and Angela is throwing a party. But this is no ordinary spook bash.
That sounds racist.
Everybody's headed to Hull House, a deserted funeral home with a shocking secret in its past and something evil alive in its basement. Now the guests are becoming possessed, and this party's treats include tongue ripping, eyeball gouging, gratuitous nudity, bloody dismemberment, and more. Welcome to the blowout, where all hell is breaking loose. You're invited to Night of the Demons. Alright, so we jump into the animated credits. I think they're pretty cool.
Nice cartoony intro.
Yeah.
It seems like the movie's going to be cool.
Yeah, definitely. The quality is definitely a lot better than the actual movie itself. So, very cool intro. Probably one of the best I've seen so far on the reviews. While that's playing and showing the credits, it has this 80s type synthesizer music playing over it. Very Halloween-y. It sets up like the Halloween vibe, because this movie is on Halloween.
Which I don't even feel that vibe the rest of the movie. Like, I always forget it's on Halloween.
Yeah, they mention it quite a few.
It doesn't feel like Halloween though.
I agree. Like, it doesn't. Like, you see the trick-or-treaters at the beginning, and the scene we're just going to jump into, but yeah, it doesn't really feel like Halloween. That's because they're cooped up in a fucking house the whole time. Mm-hmm. But after the credits, it jumps to a scene introducing two of the characters, one being the main character, which is the heroine Judy, and also Sal. Now, shows kind of this quiet town, younger kids trick-or-treating before it gets dark, and there's this old grumpy-ass old man carrying his groceries, walking home from the store. And this is where Sal comes into play, bumps into the old man and teases him. The old man wants nothing of it. And Sal makes him drop his groceries, and they spills everywhere. Now, after Sal runs off, this is where Judy comes in and offers to help the old man and pick up the groceries for him, but he fucking wants none of it. The old man's pretty pissed off. Doesn't like children or human beings, really. Mm-hmm. But did you notice when the groceries spilled everywhere, he had razor blades and an apple? Apples in there. I guess he's going to
that old gag
show those kids who's boss. But after
they're just going to throw right through his window and not even eat them.
Yeah.
The razor blades.
Yeah. The kids actually have the last laugh there. Who the fuck eats an apple?
No.
You remember when you were little?
And you throw them at their house. That's what I'm talking about.
You throw them.
Fuck you, asshole.
Or did you get something like a toothbrush? Did you ever get something shitty like that?
Somebody used to give us a dime. Give me a dime. Sweet.
No way.
What are you going to do with this?
But after that old man and the introduction of the two characters there, Judy and Sal, it then cuts to, I believe this cuts to the scene with Stooge, right?
Yep, driving.
Yeah, Stooge is driving with his potential hookup, Helen.
And an African-American gentleman dressed as a pirate.
Like a Somalian pirate? Like one of those skinnies?
He's one of those guys. Man in the ship.
But Roger's tagging along too, and he's that token black guy. They needed at least the black dude in the movie, but...
There's Will Sasso look-alike is driving this car, throwing beer out of there and telling people what's what.
But they're driving around, and you kind of get the idea of who Stooge is. He's kind of the goof-off. After that, I believe it then jumps to a scene with Judy back at home. She wastes no time leaving the old man to pick up his own fucking groceries and goes home to to get in costume for Halloween, and she's dressing up as Alice in Wonderland. Now, as she's changing, her pervert of a fucking brother is sitting in the closet watching her undress and cops a pretty big, nice view of her asshole.
Yeah, well, she takes off her underwear and bare ass bends over in front of a mirror, which seems like a risky move to make while you're filming something anyway, because it seems like you'd brown eye it.
And as she's pretty much completely naked, her brother steps out, and he has this funny little one-liner. He tells her, what is it?
Bodacious boobs, sis! Which means nice tits in today's speak.
Yeah.
For all you kids.
And after that, the whole ordeal, she covers herself, but her little brother runs out of the room, and the doorbell rings. And this is one of the potential dates. Now, it's not the actual guy that's supposed to be picking Judy up. It's a past date, and this is Sal. This is a dude that she dated in the past that still wants to get down with Judy, but she isn't having it. Now, Sal asks where Judy is, and the little brother that answered the door says, she hasn't had time to talk to you. She actually has another date for Halloween. Buzz off. And I think the little kid's quite brave.
Little kid's a fucking douchebag. I don't like his attitude. He talks like a dickhead.
He does talk like a dickhead. He's pretty brave speaking to people twice his fucking age. Like, nowadays you get your ass kicked for talking to somebody like that.
Maybe not. This is what I was going to say. This is your problem with kids nowadays. Back when I was a little kid, I didn't dare to say anything like this to people that were bigger than me because you'd get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
But now I feel like people aren't allowed to just beat the shit out of little kids that deserve to get the shit beat out of them.
That's true, but keep in mind this movie is made in 88.
So he would have gotten beat up back then.
Yeah, so what the fuck's he running his mouth for?
Well, he doesn't ever get shown, so that means that fucking doo-wop cast-off is a pussy.
Stu was a pussy-ass wet rat.
Sal wants to know where the party's at. And Judy's brother is not going to tell unless he gets something for it. And
As
so
long
Sal...
as Judy's brother gets to wet his beak.
Yes. So Judy's brother is offered a quarter to open his mouth and let Sal know where the party's at. Quarter's not enough for her brother. And so Sal then offers $1, which Steve did the research.
It's actually, by today's standards, it's $2.02.
Yeah, so a nice...
Making out like a bandit, as they say.
Yeah, a nice $2 treat for the information that he provides. He tells Sal that the party's going to be at Whole House. And Sal at first doesn't believe it because Judy is this goody-good that doesn't hang out with the trashy kids or the unpopular kids and definitely wouldn't go to some dump like Whole House. But he gives the little runt the dollar, which is now $2 in our time, and also steals the kid's mask to scare the group later on.
He gets the last laugh.
Yeah, the kid doesn't do anything. Like, kid's like, hey, give me my mask, and then he's just...
What could he do?
He just shuts the door like nothing happened. Now after this...
Don't they go to the store? There's some scene in the store.
Yeah, so there's a scene where Angela, I believe it's Angela and Suzanne are introduced. Now, they're in a convenience store, and Suzanne's bending over, and the clerks of the store are just staring at her ass.
Yeah, and it's not like she's wearing pants.
No.
She's just in a pair of... She's wearing a dress, but she's wearing underwear under there, and not a dress, like a skirt.
Yeah, it's a super, super short
She's purposely making it so they can just see your butt.
Yeah, but while she's doing this, she's not doing it just to be a whore. She's actually doing it so Angela can go around and shoplift in the convenience store and get everything that they're going to need for the party.
Yep.
Whole House. And Angela is the character throwing the party. She's the kind of goth, unpopular goth girl, and the reason all these people are hanging out with her is because I guess they have nothing else better to do.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, if people were losers at your school and then they suddenly invite you to a party, it doesn't mean that you're just going to go.
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense. Like, when Judy's talking to Jay on the phone about the party when she's convinced to go, which I didn't bring up, Jay doesn't really give any explanation as to why they decided to go to this party. And it's not like it's a huge keg or anything. There's like 8 people that are going to this thing.
It's a fucking lame party.
Yeah.
In a dirty ass house that actually is a crematorium.
After that whole ordeal and they shoplift, then they all start heading towards the house. This is where Judy is then picked up by her actual date, which is Jay. Now, Jay is introduced as the super nice guy, and he's offered, I forgot about this, but he's offered the shitty homemade candy by Judy's mom.
I would have taken it.
And it looks like little dog shit.
It does.
Yeah, so after they get the groceries, and after Stooge has his car troubles.
He has car troubles because he has a pretty sweet car turn, and it blows out the tire.
Yeah. But after that, they all finally get to the house, and Sal's all waiting for them to show up. He's actually in the coffin in the house with the kid's mask that he stole, and he's going to scare him. So he pops out, he scares everybody, and everybody's pretty bummed that Sal's there. No one invited him. He kind of just showed up. And he's one of those douchebags that no one likes, but he's just always around, and there's like nothing you can do about it.
You could just tell him to leave, and then he'd probably throw a fit. But as long as you told him to leave and you could kick his ass, you could get rid of him.
Yeah. But I feel like he's one of those people.
Probably be creeping in the window, like... Yeah. He's kind of like your... He's kind of like that Malfoy character, if I might reference Harry Potter. He's just a real douchebag.
Yeah, and even if you were to, like, pick on him or, like, beat the shit out of him, he probably still wouldn't leave. He's, like, one of those people.
Yeah, he still just talks shit about everything that's going on, but he's lame and he's got nothing else better to do. You'd probably have to just drown him in the creek.
Yeah. But once they get to the house, this also is the time where it introduces the rest of the characters. After Sal scares everybody after hiding in the coffin, it then introduces Max. And Max is like the know-it-all about this haunted place. He knows everything about it. And it also introduces his girlfriend, Franny. But Max starts walking around the place giving an explanation about the property's history. And he mentions that it's surrounded by an underground river, and that a tall brick wall was built over the waterway. Now, I guess because the land's considered unclean, it's believed that any evil spirits that call it home cannot pass beyond the brick wall, which sets up a important part of the story moving forward. Now, as he's going around talking about all this shit, everyone finally gets to the party and gets inside. And they start hanging up decorations and eating all the food and shit like that.
Doing a bunch of stupid things.
Mm-hmm. Now the house, the abandoned home, actually has power, which kind of blows my mind because
They mentioned they didn't have plumbing.
Yeah, so I don't know why they had power, but the boombox is battered.
Someone's paying the power over there.
Yeah, and the reason you find this out is because they actually plug in a strobe light. And they start dancing to some pretty sweet music.
Yeah, it's there's a song. The best part of the song is the guitar solo, and the song is called something like computer dating. It's about like dating on the computer, which is weird for '88.
Yeah, give me your thought on this, Steve. The movie has some. It's ahead of its time.
It's a strangely progressive movie because. It knows about the internet, and it knows about internet dating, and also this movie is a fucking dumpster fire, and basically it was just a ruse to trick the actresses into taking off their clothes.
Indeed.
And what you find is
cleanly shaven bush,
very progressive. Also, yeah, the people have shaved. And looks like all the girls have fake boobs, which is very unlike the 1980s.
Yes. Very, very... It is definitely out of the norm of natural. Like, it's... Yeah, I agree with you. It is
I feel like this
progressive.
This movie wasted all its genius attempting to be stupid. It was really smarter than it...
Yeah. Now, the festivities here are now interrupted by some weird noise, and the party feels that they're no longer alone here. There's somebody else that's attending. So as they go around looking throughout the house, they find an old mirror, and this is the perfect time for Angela to put the partying aside and wants to actually do a seance. Now this is where Helen says, the seance may be a little chancy because it's Halloween and this is the night where the ghouls come out to play and blah blah blah.
Definitely a little dicey.
Yeah. But They stand in front of a mirror. It's actually Helen that stands in front of the mirror. And as the seance goes on, she sees this dragon-like figure in the mirror.
Yeah, it looks like a giant Chinese dragon.
Yeah, something that you would see in like Chinese New Year in the streets in China or something. Oh, it's pretty
dancing around. Its fucking whiskers.
Yeah, but she also sees like a flash forward of her life. She actually sees herself being killed. And I think that's what ultimately...
Melty face.
Yeah, that's what ultimately freaks her out. And she knocks the mirror over and it shatters into a bunch of pieces. Now, this creeps Helen out as well as the Tolkien black guy. Mm. They're both the freaky ones. Because I guess the black guy mentions that his father was like a priest or something like that. And that he doesn't like playing around with this.
Pirates don't have priest dads.
No, they do not. They still treasure.
I found a treasure! A treasure that's up on a rope!
That's what they do.
They plunder and pillage.
After that happens, all of them gather around the broken glass, and the camera has the broken glass in view, and all the characters' faces you see within a piece of broken glass, which is kind of interesting, and you kind of get the idea that this is like some sort of symbolic meaning of the group being split up.
It makes you think the movie's going to be kick-ass.
Yeah. So you get the vibe that they're ultimately going to be split up and they will not be meeting again. The funny thing is that all the characters actually do split up and go their separate ways throughout the house to see what's going on, because I guess they keep hearing these noises. And they state that the noises are coming from the basement. Mm-hmm. And we find out that there is a
fucking dragon living down there.
Dragon living in the furnace.
It's just been hiding out waiting for the Chinese New Year. And remember... Never mind. I'm going to save that.
The special effects for the dragon's fucking ridiculous. It's like a hand puppet filmed in the dark and they overlap it over the film or whatever. It just looks super fucking cheesy. I don't know if you've ever seen Evil Dead, for example, which this movie is taken from. Yeah.
Because it's a fucking piece.
For example, in Evil Dead, when they have that face that's talking about what's going on in Evil Dead, and it's supposed to be scary, and it's just like an overlapping shot of this face talking.
Oh, you mean kind of like when you're taking one of those things and you're fading one picture to another, and it's just sort of both of them. It looks kind of like the little kid that's picture of his head sideways, and then like another picture.
Yeah,
of
those
looking forward.
Yeah, those shitty. It's like 70s photos, but yeah, that's how this is. It's just shitty special effects. After they all split their way, the evil presence has definitely made its way in the house. The mirror being broken, I feel, let the spirits in. I don't think it was necessarily the seance. I think it was the mirror being broken. Could be wrong, but that's when the shit started hitting the fan.
Then Suzanne gets possessed by the dragon.
Yeah, so Suzanne is the first one to be possessed, and it's probably because she's the fucking stupidest. She wastes no time
in showing she got possessed by the most retarded ghost possible.
Yeah, that she has that demonic possession. Angela and the girl start making out. So this is like the first lesbian scene, or the first sexual scene within this movie.
I'm no Dr. Joyce Brothers, but I think that this means that things are coming.
Yeah. I think
something may or may not happen.
And this is where the cliche, like I mentioned, they all split up, but this is where the cliche-ness comes out. They're all splitting up, not to check out the house, but they're splitting up to all
go up so they can get naked.
Fuck.
This movie was definitely written by men.
Yeah, so this is their cue to go off and pick a room to fornicate in.
Dirty scum.
So everybody, I think, is going to get a piece of ass here except Roger and Helen, because they want no part of this, and they immediately head outside through the front door to leave the party because they're a little spooked. Now, as everybody's walking through the house, checking out the rooms, it then jumps back to Helen and Roger outside trying to find their way out. Now, this is what kind of bugs me about this movie.
Just this?
Well, this is one of the things that bugs me, and it makes no sense. Now, Helen and Roger, as they go outside trying to find their way out of here, the brick wall has taken
on a life of its own.
Yeah, taken a life of its own. It's there's no longer a gate to get outside of this like hellish lot, And it's just kind of weird because
They shouldn't have had a gate to come in because, the spirits could get out then.
yeah. So what doesn't make sense to me is how these demons possess the metaphysical power to change reality and move this gate into a brick wall.
Especially when there's water.
Yeah, so
They weren't supposed to-
riddle me this, Steve. If they have the power to physically change what these characters perceive, why can't they just take their souls at the snap of their fingers? Like, it's just so ridiculous. Like,
Question,
Yeah.
why would the demons not just take your soul?
sure.
The answer would be, you gotta love what you do.
Yeah.
You don't go and fucking just half-ass it. They want to get their money's worth. This is why you would kill somebody with a knife and not a gun. You want to get your money's worth. You're going to kill somebody. You want them to fall down and struggle and drag around. You don't want to just end him.
But I would say if you're a demon,
The demons only get this chance once every... At least
they
once
live in a
year.
different realm, right? And
Yeah,
they're
but-
taking their souls. They're taking them to hell. You can torture them for eternity. What's
But
the...
they only get the chance to mess with humans at least once a year. But how many people are stupid enough to try and fuck in a goddamn mortuary?
Yeah. The fact that they have the power to, like, change what they can see is...
Well, that is retarded.
Is retarded, and it ruins the movie a bit for me because of that.
Don't worry, if this doesn't ruin the movie for you, the rest of it will.
Yeah. But after they go outside and they're looking around, they're trying to get over the fence, this is where Helen is killed. Now, Helen all of a sudden disappears, and Roger can't find her anywhere, and he becomes even more frightened.
And then he goes to sleep in a car.
Yeah, so then he decides that since he can't get out and jump the wall, he's just going to sit in the car until everybody decides to leave. And I believe this then jumps back into the house as he takes a nap.
This is where it shows the possessed girl picking the fat guy, Will Sasso, over the annoying guy with the doo-wop hair.
And the doo-wop hair, you mean Sal.
Yeah, so she picks, what's his name? Stooge.
Yes.
Over Sal. Mm-hmm. And Stooge, the fat guy, looks worse without the pig nose, I found. It takes that off.
Yeah, so this is where you find out that Angela's possessed as well. She's dancing
from the making out.
Yeah, she's dancing around to like weird like 80s goth music. It's like typo negative kind of music or whatever. She's dancing around, and Sal gets kind of creeped out, and so he decides to take a hike, and this is where the fat ass comes in and basically wants to get some action. Now, as they go to make out, she just bites his like face off, dude. Like, doesn't she like bite his lips or bite his tongue off? And then you see like the grotesque like demon makeup, and you know she's a demon. She starts...
It's trouble.
Yeah. Doesn't she bite him, or is this later on?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
But anyways, I know that she bites his face, and this is where he ultimately turns into a demon. But before this...
Well, that's after she picks, and asshole gets upset that he didn't get picked.
Yeah, but I believe this is... We're jumping a bit ahead here.
Yeah, okay.
Because I think...
I'm alright with that.
Stooge actually goes upstairs to see if he can get some with Suzanne. They go to the bathroom, and she locks the door, and he can't get in.
You kooky bitch!
Yeah, he just talks down on women so much. It's kind of funny. But
that'll
anyway,
work for you, probably.
He gets into the bathroom finally. She's disappeared, so he's like, oh, fuck it. And then he just goes back downstairs, and this is where he gets action from Angela, and she bites his face off.
Oh, one thing that I liked. What's the girl's name that goes with Jay?
Judy.
Okay, so Judy, let's keep in mind here that when she was putting on her costume, she had taken off her panties first.
Yeah, I don't even think she ever put them back on.
Right. So this is what I've written down. The girl dressed as Alice, so Judy, that's with Jay, that doesn't wear panties under her skirt. Mm-hmm. She then gets mad at Jay because he wants to bone on the first date. Mm-hmm. But she went on a first date with him without even wearing underwear. Is this a legitimate thing to be mad about?
Yeah, she definitely... it's like false advertisement.
Well, it's kind of like, I guess, if you pick somebody up and your just penis is hanging out, you know, on a date, and I can only think that if the girl, which they wouldn't, stay on the date with you, they're probably pretty sure what is on your mind, you know, like, especially if you had a boner the whole time because your penis is hanging out. Like, right? And then you were like, how dare you? What is this? Yeah. Yes, it's hanging out, but you're a pig.
Now, Yeah, that's funny you bring that up. It's weird you see these in 80s movies. Like
they
when a
actually
guy
write-
gets turned down, yeah, because
They write my story now.
yeah. But anyways, like when a guy gets turned down, he just like, you're a bitch. You're a stupid
I'm gonna
bitch.
punch you in the face, and then this is gonna.
You're not gonna let
rape.
me. You're not gonna let me penetrate. You're a bitch. Like it's so ridiculous. Usually,
That definitely won't work.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I've never seen that really happen. Typically, you get turned down like that. It's kind of a humiliating scenario, and you're like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and you kind of just part your way. And then this is where you find Susan, fucking using her lipstick as face paint.
She's all spaced out in the other room, looking like a
She's
goddamn Forrest Gump.
Yeah, but
naked girl.
Yeah, and she's painting all over her face with her lipstick, and this is like the best scene of the movie, where after she's painting all over her face, she like unbuttons her costume, and this is where you get a glimpse of those warlocks, which are clearly fake tits, and like you had mentioned, it's it's very progressive in that she has fake tits, and we're in the 80s here. And I imagine a procedure like that would cost thousands of dollars back in the 80s, and girls in Playboy in the 80s I don't really even think had fake tits. But after she's done face painting, she grabs the lipstick and puts it in her
nipple,
like through her
somehow.
nipple, and just pushes it in.
Yeah, it's interesting. Suzanne tries to put lipstick on her face, and then just decides to undo her shirt and draw spirals to her nipples, then shove lipstick in the nipple.
Yeah. And
interesting choice. I did not see that coming.
Exactly. It's kind of a weird scene, but anyways, after Jay shows his true colors, he's not the nice guy and gets turned down from Judy, he then stumbles across.
He tries to guilt her first by saying, like, you went on one date and that's all it takes, and you got with doo-wop hair.
Oh, yeah. He mentions that Sal, because he knows that she dated Sal for a night. And I guess there were rumors around school that she gave it up to good old Sal, but we come to find that that's not the case.
No.
And yeah, he's just a real giant dick about it and decides to tell her to fuck off because she won't spread her legs. And he goes to find the next piece of ass.
Acer.
Yeah.
Which is Susan.
And Susan's done coloring all over herself with her lipstick and decides that he's going to take advantage of this weirdly possessed individual.
Here's the interesting thing, and let me describe it if I may.
Sure.
Suzanne climbs on Jay's wiener and gives it a few pumps, then decides to, I'm guessing, clench her vagina really tight to hurt him, and then choke him and smash his eyes after she makes a melty Iggy Pop face. That's what I could gather from that scene.
Oh, wow. Yeah, she does. She makes a really weird face and uses her pelvis to crush his manhood.
I didn't get it.
As she plucks his eyes out with her thumbs.
It was interesting. It was something, all right.
Yeah. Now, after she pops his eyeballs out, she just hangs out with his dead body in there.
Shortly after that, Stooge is wandering around.
Stooge is wandering around. This is what he's possessed now.
Yeah, Stooge is possessed. He's wandering around. He sees the Asian lady. So Stooge chokes out the Asian lady while she's riding that other guy's wiener inside of a coffin. And then he kills the guy with the coffin lid by mashing him.
Yes, so then, yeah, you're right. It jumps to the scene with the know-it-all, which is Max and his girlfriend Franny, the most attractive girl in this film. All of them are dogs except Franny. She's like this Asian Filipino chick. But anyways, he's having sex with her in the coffin, and he has a funny comment like, "Oh, I can't bend this way because they're trying to fuck or whatever."
And he's sitting up on a pillow in a coffin in a ridiculous.
Stooge comes in, and his lips have just been completely torn off from Angela biting him off, and he, instead of like pulling him out of the coffin and kills him, he essentially just smashes. How does he kill?
You just mashing it. He chokes out.
He chokes out the girl, right?
Chokes out the Asian girl, and then he beats the hell out of the other dude with the coffin.
Yeah, he just smashes the lid and then
breaks his arm off.
Breaks his arm right off, clean right off. Yeah.
And then at that point, Angie looks like Reagan from The Exorcist. Remember that? She looks Reagan-y.
To me...
You know, when she gets exorcist-y, like,
yeah.
possessed, like she's just... It's like the same look.
You've seen Raimi's Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. I feel they kind of stole the look.
This movie fails at it.
Yeah, definitely. They don't have the ability or... I mean...
The know-how.
Yeah, Evil Dead was...
The skill.
Evil Dead was low budget, but
they
had great makeup artists.
That's why I didn't say the money.
They said pieces of shit, yeah. But, yeah, they definitely try to steal that look. And this is where you finally, in the film, start seeing the makeup on the demons. You know, you start seeing them on Fat Ass, Stooge, Angela, and then you also see it on Suzanne as well.
Jay's date goes in the room. What's her name again?
Judy.
Judy goes in and sees Jay all dead there. And Suzanne says, and this is a quote, "I'm sure if we try, we could get Jay hard again." Okay.
That's pretty funny. And you spent a good 40, maybe 35, 40 minutes of them just running around and being chased.
You start realizing people are becoming zombies here.
Yeah.
This is a thing.
So as these characters are dying, they immediately are turning into these like undead demon creatures or whatever, and they're all going after the living. Now,
spoiler alert.
As they're running around, Judy finds that she locks herself, or no, Jay locks her in that room after he leaves. And Sal, running around, finds her in there. And he's actually with Roger, because Roger comes back, the Black Tolkien guy, because he gets woken up out of his sleep in the car. And
by a fucking dead body.
By a dead body. He sees Helen's head smashed on the... smashed into pieces or whatever, and she's thrown on top of the car, sliding down the windshield. So he runs back in the house. He finds Sal, and they find Judy, but they're kind of scared to enter the room because they're not sure if it's really her or not. But Sal kicks the door open, I believe.
Oh yeah,
and finds out it's actually Judy, and they start running away from, I believe, Angela, which is like she's actually hovering. She's not even walking.
She's
just like
the fat guy on Dune.
Oh yeah,
just floating around.
This is where Sal comes to his demise. This is kind of weird because Sal's like that asshole dude at the beginning, and you see that Jay's like the nice guy, but their roles completely flip. Because as you see that Jay's an asshole and he really just wants to get some ass, Sal actually really likes her and tries to save her. And, risks his life to do so, obviously. And as he does that, he
Is this the part where he's got the water pipes?
Yeah, so
the water pipes?
Yeah, so he gets thrown through the window as Angela breaks in. I'm just going off the top of my head here, but Sal tries to save her, and the demon punches Sal, and he flies through the glass window. And it's like some weird cellar, like some weird part of the wall where there's pipes and things like that. And he climbs his way out.
He says, "Thank heaven for water pipes," and climbs up them.
Yes.
But I thought there wasn't plumbing. They make that a point to say that.
Yeah, was there not plumbing, or was it just not working?
There's no plumbing. Well, they said there's no plumbing. I don't know. I mean,
I imagine when somebody says there's no plumbing, that means there's no fucking plumbing.
Well, yeah. I mean, the demons can't move around in the house because water's coursing through it. I assume that means there's nothing set up there. No plumbing. Yeah. Otherwise, they'd say that sink doesn't fucking work.
Yeah. Well, he climbs back up, but it jumps to Judy, the heroine, running around trying to escape, and she gets to like the top of the house. There's like a balcony or whatever. And she hides in the shadows because she sees Stooge walking around sniffing people out.
Because he's fat, see?
Yeah.
That's why you can smell him.
Yeah, because he's hungry.
Hungry for...
Use your imagination.
Fill in the blank.
Yeah.
I'm not too lazy to even come up with anything.
Yeah. She runs out to the balcony of like the top story of the house. And she bumps into Sal.
Yeah, Angie and Doo-Wop guy... wrestling.
Yeah.
And then he backflips off the building.
He takes Angela, the demon Angela, with him, saving Judy.
As Judy dangles.
Yeah, dangles from... She gets knocked off the building, but holds on. And
for a long time, building suspense.
Yeah, and as Angela, the demon, is going to kick her off the building, this is where Sal tackles her off the building and they fall. Now Sal's impaled by some weird metal rod sticking out of the ground. It seems like it's like a mini cemetery there as well. It's not only a funeral.
Rod.
Yeah,
Just kidding. I don't know what it is.
I don't know. Something's sticking out of the ground. And it seems that the demon as well as Sal's dead, but you find that the demon actually comes back. Now, as Judy's trying to gain leverage and get back up the building,
That's great.
Roger, the black Tolkien guy, is trying to guide her over to the right-hand side where she could actually just let go and land on like another level of the building.
Well, this gets rushed.
Yes.
Stooge runs over, and
Stooge smells the menstruation.
Smells blood in the water. He runs over to her, and it causes her to let go and glide to the next level. Like she glides, like when James Bond.
Right.
Yeah, like when James Bond like jumps the motorcycle on GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Jumps the motorcycle off the thing towards the falling plane and sort of just glides inside of it and then takes the reins.
Yes.
That's what this reminded me of. This part made me be like, oh my god.
This is fucking ridiculous, yeah. But anyways, she falls over and Roger and Judy start hugging and, oh yes, you made it, you're still alive, blah blah blah, and Stooge just jumps off the building and lands there, and he's on his way to steal their souls, and they run off.
Sucker.
Now they're running around the yard of this funeral home, and as we mentioned earlier, it's still surrounded by a brick wall, and they have no way of getting out.
They also see dead Sal, who already has a headstone. Notice that?
Oh, it said Sal?
Yeah, he already has a headstone.
I met, and this is where Angela comes back as well, and she says some corny thing like, Sal wanted to leave the party early, but he decided to stick around, and he's like just laying there, just dead or whatever.
Slapper.
Sal, Max, Helen, Franny, all the dead characters, this is where they start chasing Roger and Judy around in the cemetery to kill him. And now, I don't know why Roger decided to try to climb the wall now. He could have done that at the beginning of the film and avoided any of this bullshit.
Well, you forget that first he starts crying again, right?
That's he is a giant bitch in this. Like, every time they get together in the group and they're running around this house,
he starts crying about everything.
And he runs off and disappears.
Yeah, well, and then he says, before they climb the wall, I think this is when he says, first let's pray. My daddy taught me how to pray real good. Something like that.
Now, are we jumping ahead of ourselves? Because my notes, as you can tell, we're jumping around here. I didn't feel it was worthy enough to take a good amount of notes. But anyways, I remember the two characters are actually in the basement at one point in time. And they actually go into the furnace.
I think that's after they...
Is this the very end?
Oh, never mind. Yeah, you're right. We did get ahead of ourselves there. Before he tries some stunt, he wants to pray. We can be assured of that.
Before they find themselves outside and jumping the fence, they actually are in a cellar. Not in a cellar, I apologize. They're actually down in the basement, and they find the source or the place at which the demons reside or whatever. I think this is the furnace where the bodies were burned.
The old incinerator. She opens up the incinerator door, think it's the way out, actually.
No, she's fucking dead wrong there.
Dizzy ass bitch.
Yeah, so she goes in.
It fucking clearly looks like an incinerator door.
Yeah, and she is greeted by a skeleton hand.
Oof.
Like, so there's a body in there that's not quite burned into ash and tries to grab her. And clearly the other demons outside of the basement found their Roger and her location, and they start pounding on the door. And they use their demon powers to pull the bolt out of the door so that way they can enter.
That's a power now.
Yeah, that's a power. You know, they can change reality and what these characters perceive, but they can't make a door disappear, which just fucking bugs me.
Which they did make a gate disappear.
Yeah, it bugs me. That's
weird.
One of the many problems. But we're not quite at the rating yet. This is where Judy uses her MacGyver skills.
Channels her inner mullet.
She does. She channels the inner mullet and the tools that she is surrounded by, and decides to pull the gas pipe from the furnace, and conveniently has a lighter and lights it.
Oh man!
And uses it as a fucking DIY torch.
It's a pretty sweet, like, reminiscent of the burning just blowtorch.
Yeah, just blowtorching these demons as they get in to the basement. And right as she starts blowtorching, this is where Roger decides to run off like a little bitch again.
Apparently, one of their many powers does not include fucking the ability to be flame resistant, even though they're demons. Like,
yeah, like
they can shift walls and they can do all this stuff. They can even manipulate doors in a way where they can get through them, even if they can't make them disappear. But they can't put up with a little bit of heat.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I don't remember them even getting on fire. I didn't see like a flaming thing run away.
So they were on fire.
All right.
And you see them like their skin.
Have to trust you with this one.
They were on fire, because then later on, once Sal's killed and jumps off the building, you see that Angela as well as Stooge, their like skins melted off.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they're badly burned.
I was doing all I could to continue to pay attention.
Yeah, after that, Roger runs off once again, and they finally get outside. And as they're trying to find a way out, they decide to try to finally climb over this fucking wall. And all of these undead demons are attempting to kill him. This is an intense scene here, Steve. Roger, with his NBA-like jumping skills, gets up and over the wall.
Is that an athletic joke?
He gets up and over the wall, but now he has to...
Well, they're climbing fucking barbed wire.
Yeah, they're pulling...
Just cutting into their hands.
Oh, yeah.
And the girl had brought up that it's Halloween and the demons will stay till the next day. It doesn't even feel like Halloween. I just want to bring that up again. But they're climbing up barbed wire and it's like tearing the shit out of their hands.
They do mention that. I completely spaced that and forgot that. That they come to this theory that they think that the next day the demons may be gone and that they're only around on Halloween. And I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, but it's something that I wouldn't assume.
One great thing.
Yeah.
So I thought climbing barbed wire is a nice touch, but Roger gets to the top of the fence. Girl's trying to climb up. She can't do it well. They're holding onto her leg. Roger falls off the fucking thing and lands on the safety side. And then he miraculously reappears back on the top. You needed a barbed wire rope to get up to one side, and you just fucking hopped up the other side?
Yeah.
I think that's the jumping you're thinking of. How the fuck did that happen?
Yeah, it doesn't make much...
I don't get it.
Sense. You know, once he gets over the fence, because he's a pussy the whole time through the film, you think he'd just run off. But he comes to his senses and redeems himself by helping Judy over the fence as the demons try to pull her back down. Gets her over the fence, and the sun starts coming up. And as the sun starts coming up, you start seeing all the smoke, and it's over. Now, what kind of pisses me off is the biggest pussy of this movie survived. Like, typically in most horror movies, the token black guy is like close to the first to die.
Yeah.
And second,
this is a trendsetter. It's progressive.
Yeah. And
you don't see Morgan Freeman dying in movies, dude. This movie started that trend.
Yeah. And second, usually the biggest pussy or the weak or the helpless is another case in which the character dies close to the beginning as well. So it is quite progressive, Steve. They're trying to set trends here.
They're doing it.
Yeah. But that is pretty much the end. Well, what happens is one of the best, I would say, probably the best part.
Yep.
And this could lead to a sequel that they should have actually did instead of Night of the Demons 2 with the good old grandma.
They should have done Night
of the Grandma. Night of the Opal. But anyways, they get out of the shitty funeral home, and there's kind of a time changer. You see them walking through the neighborhood, and it's early morning, and they're just battered and beaten walking, and they go their way. And then it jumps to the old man. Correct?
Yeah, well, Klaus. Whatever his name is.
Yeah, the old man that you were introduced to at the beginning of the film.
He's a racist. He's a sexist. He puts fucking shit in your apples.
Yes. And his wife is hassling him about getting up for breakfast. And she's made him a nice warm apple pie.
Because that's breakfast.
Yeah.
Grow up, diabetes.
He digs in and she asks him if he likes it. And he says some bullshit like, no, it's not very good.
I'm choking it down. Isn't that thanks enough?
Yeah.
Just kidding, but...
Something along the lines.
Thinking.
Yeah. But anyways, as he's eating it, all of a sudden you start seeing his throat split.
Probably because he's a big old fucking vagina.
Or maybe his wife got tired of him being an asshole.
Yeah, and so I've written down, shitty movie ends with razors tearing through old man's throat in an attempt to salvage the movie.
Yes.
Oh,
And does it salvage the movie, Steve?
Fuck no, this movie's a goddamn piece of shit, if I might speak frankly.
Yeah, she gets the last laugh, kills the old man, and it's over.
Yeah.
This is where we kind of get an idea of you would watch this film if, Steve.
You'll like this movie if you like sour balls, staring at full rear nudity / brown eye, music about computer dating, stories using the word papoose. Remember that story about the papooses?
I don't fucking remember that.
And building suspense by trying to light lighters to ignite blow torches. I want to also remind you, 1 second. This one I've written down here. Remember, noise, stink, and chill is a sign of demonic infestation. That was brought up in the movie, I believe, or hinted at.
Yeah, it was. Because they did mention that throughout the movie quite often. The smell.
Yep.
Smells horrid.
Smells
Stinks.
like fucking old death shit. Let's talk about what we think about this piece of shit.
Yeah. So, here comes the great part where we actually rate the film. Now, the way we rate these films is with dumpsters.
Yep.
Now, one dumpster being
the best, because you need at least one dumpster. 5 being an all-out goddamn Night of the Demon dumpster fucking fire.
Now, do you want me to go first here?
Please.
Okay. So, I have many problems with this movie. Now, I remember watching it when I was younger, and I vividly remember always seeing the VHS cover when I'd go to like Blockbuster and stuff and rent movies when I was younger. And it always just looked so cool. Now, after watching it when I was younger, I think it's more of a nostalgia thing, but watching it now as I'm an adult, this movie is terrible. There's so many problems with it. The fact that I mentioned earlier that these demons have this like metaphysical power to change reality, but they can't seal the deal and kill these 2 kids. And, you know, there's this brick wall that these kids cannot get over throughout the whole movie. It's just, they're not confined in a space that's scary. I mean, they're really not confined at all. It just kind of bugs me that they're kept in this house by some ridiculous power these demons have. I think the main fact is that, to me, this is just a regurgitated, sleazy version of Evil Dead. They took the story, the special effects, and even the way it was shot in some scenarios, and just ripped off Sam Raimi's Evil Dead. And, you know, the way I feel is that if this movie was actually, if it was reversed, say, for example, Evil Dead came out after this, it would be a completely different story. But it's not. It's just rip off. And
Evil Dead still would have been way better.
Oh, definitely. Sam Raimi's a fucking great director. He has his own style, and you can tell it's copied in this. But I just don't know how this movie has such a cult status. Like, so many people like this movie, and after watching it,
Who likes this movie?
You
show me one person.
It was just recently re-released on a special edition Blu-ray.
That's gonna fucking bomb, because guess what? Everybody in Detroit can't buy that now.
Yeah, and it was re-released, and there's just a lot of people out there that do reviews, and a lot of horror fans out there that love this movie.
There's a lot of fucking losers out there.
And I have some relatives and some friends that like it, and that were stoked that we were actually reviewing this. And after watching it, it's garbage. Like, as a horror fan, I would say, for the nostalgia, if you grew up in the 80s or 90s, for nostalgia kind of thing, yeah, watch it once, but don't buy it.
Nostalgia is like Halloween 3, but that movie doesn't suck nearly as big of a fat cock as this one.
But it's as a horror fan, I don't think it's really worth your time, and
I'm upset you made me watch it.
Yeah, and as somebody that's not a horror fan, I would not recommend this movie at all. I would not waste your time on it. It's just not very good, and it's like watching a shitty foreign version of Evil Dead. So as far as my rating's concerned, it's really close to a 5. I'm gonna rate it a 4.5. And it's because Final Exam fucking sucked worse.
I'm ready. I'm done with listening to your stupid explanation.
Okay, what do you think?
This movie fucking sucks dick. I give it a 5. It's 5 goddamn dumpsters. That's a dumpster fire. Let me tell you why. The movie starts out like it's going to be fun and ridiculous, and it's just fucking lame. Okay? The movie has 2 different feels. The beginning and end are one, and then the middle. The beginning and end are a nice little story. They could be something kind of interesting, but instead what they do is they fuck it up by putting that shitty middle in there. I also have written down, how does this have a cult following? Like, we already touched on that, so I'm just going to never mind that. There's a goddamn brick wall they keep trying to get over. It's like some sort of doofus metaphor for, like, I don't know what. Is this succeeding in life? It's something stupid.
Yeah.
It's fucking dumb. Basically, aside from all the other stuff that we had already talked about, I would only recommend this movie to kids that haven't figured out how to Google pictures of topless girls. That's the only person I'd recommend it. People I'd recommend it to. But guess what, kids? You go to Google and you type in what you're looking for. Turn off the safe search.
Yeah,
that one's on me. Now listen to this. Like, okay, what the Final Exam does lack in everything else, it doesn't feel like... I mean, there are parts that are kind of amusing. Like, this movie's trying to be amusing, and it's a fucking piece of shit. Final Exam is not really trying to be amusing, and it's still funny. There's bow play. He falls off the thing. I mean, we're only talking about 0.5 of a difference of a dumpster between the two. That's true. Like, I gotta give it to Final Exam being slightly better than this movie, because while that movie sucked fucking dick, like, this movie was awful. I mean, if you took out... Suppose the women didn't take off their shirts. How do you feel about it now?
Yeah.
Bad or Final Exam?
Yeah, I agree. I think...
Final Exam's better. That's the answer. Barely better. It's not even good, but it's barely
They're
better.
Completely different movies,
right,
but they're both trash, and I think Final Exam has some things in it that this one... that Night of the Demons doesn't, and vice versa.
And that's fucking actual things going on.
But I think ultimately what bugs me about it is, yeah, it is boring, but it is a carbon copy of another movie and has a cult following. Which I don't understand that. Like it's like if you made fucking a movie that's just like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and called it Texas Party Slaughter, and then and it has a huge cult following.
There is one of those. You remember when Rob Zombie made that movie?
Oh,
there is one of those already.
But no, it's just, it was literally borrowed, and it. I mean, the director and writer had a giant hard-on for Evil Dead, and they have a huge cult following, and this movie has sequels. And I have not seen them, and I will probably not watch them.
I almost want to watch it just because I can't imagine it could be worse.
Yeah. The special effects and things look a lot... Like, it looks like they improved on that, and it looks pretty good. I don't know. It's on Netflix. The second one may be better than the first one, but I almost feel like... I don't know if you've seen Demons, but Lamberto Bava's film about the kind of same thing that we watched here... Way better. Really good. His movie, Demon, and I wonder if it was slightly confused. And that's why this has a cult following. Now I'm probably wrong. But if you're going to watch anything with Demon in the title, watch Lamberto Bava's Demons and not fucking Night of the Demons. Not a very good movie at all. We have our first 5 rating.
All I ask is that you entertain me.
Yeah, that's the rating here. Please don't watch this movie. Go ahead, watch it, but you're going to be disappointed. We're definitely going to be reviewing some... We have some great ones in store. Right, Steve?
Yeah, well, another thing is this movie could at least be kind of funny. Like, it tries to be kind of funny, and it's not. Like, the least you could do for wasting so much of your time is be remotely amusing. It's not even like, it doesn't even like, ha, look at that, that's kind of funny. Or like, you know how some of those movies, like, fuck, I don't know, like Santa's Sleigh is an example of a movie that's fucking not very good, but it's just all out like funny.
That is,
and like Evil Dead, it's number 2 is campy, like,
yeah,
but it's definitely on purpose. And so, like, you know, even if that movie didn't look as good or have as interesting of a story, it would at least be it'd be amusing.
Yeah. I mean, they could have done a lot with this, because I don't know, they had a decent amount of money. They had some pretty cool makeup effects.
Remember, Trevor, if $1 equals $2.02,
sure.
What is $1 million and 1 million? What is it? $200,000? What does that get you?
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Like they could have done a lot with this, but because they tried to, I think they tried really hard to like recreate an Evil Dead. I mean, I think they could have done a lot more with it, and it's just terrible because it's not funny, and it drags on because these kids are being chased in a fucking funeral home for like 45 minutes, and these demons multiple times are playing hide and go seek with these kids and can't find them, but they can fucking magically make walls appear and things. It's just it's really ridiculous. Doesn't make sense. Not really worth your time. I'm not glad that we watched it for you, but
doing you a service,
we're
pal.
doing you a favor here. If you're gonna watch it, watch the sequel, not this one.
Even though we haven't seen it, just because it can't be worse.
It can't be worse. But anything else you want to add, Steve?
Nope.
You good?
Yep.
All right. Well, no, I'm good. We have some really cool movies in store that we're going to be reviewing. I can assure you will be better than this one.
Yeah.
So stay tuned. And I mean, if you completely disagree with our review and rating on this, because it is a huge cult classic,
And show up to my house and we'll get naked and wrestle.
Yeah, or you can just send us a tweet at BMovie Trash Talk, at Trevor Turpin, or at Steve Norman, and we'll discuss it. But until then, that's it.
We'll argue about it until we convince you you're wrong.
Yeah. But that's it. Enjoy your night, and we'll be talking about some movies here soon. Take care.
Bye.